So you're telling me Elden Ring's not on the
So
list?
spoilers, yeah, it didn't quite make the
Wow.
list. Even though the
Jeez.
Margit fight was pretty awesome.
I'm gonna
I
have
feel like
to.
I got the Elden Ring experience and I'm just done.
The only reason I asked you is because I thought it was gonna be on the list. Now I guess we just don't do it. Well, I am recording. So
Perfect.
that was definitely the beginning of the episode. Let's just call it what it is. This is game guessing. No. Yes. Game guessing with
Hmm.
DG. Episode 2 with TheMexFactor. Whoa. Oh, this guy here. We're gonna go through his top 10 games of all time, and I will guess what they are as he is explaining them, and then I'll try to guess what the release dates are. We'll talk about why he likes them. I'll talk about why I also like them, perhaps, or maybe why I don't, or maybe I haven't played them. I don't know. Depends on what they are.
It's gonna be very different from Kinos episode. I was watching that before doing this. I was like, I didn't know any of the games he was playing. These games will be a lot easier to guess for you, I'm pretty sure. Because we
I'm
got a lot more crossover in terms of the games we play.
I'm predicting at least. Don't confirm this, by the way. I'm just predicting this. I'm gonna say 6 Nintendo games. That's my guess. Don't
It's a good
confirm this.
guess. I won't say anything. I won't say anything, but it's
It's a good guess. All right.
it's a good guess.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's just do it. Do you have any
Well, yeah,
honorable mentions or anything first?
I did, yeah. So when I started, I first just I wrote out just like a bunch of games that I could think of, and I tried to like spread it out through like I don't know my life of like when playing video games. So the first thing I actually did was write out a list of all the consoles I've had and the systems I had in like in order when I've gotten them. It was actually kind of interesting, like going all the way back, like start with N64, then goes Game Boy. So definitely Nintendo. You're right on that. Like grew up Nintendo kid, so it's like N64, Game Boy, Advance, GameCube, Wii, and then it wasn't until like middle school is when I first got a non-Nintendo system. Got the Xbox and then 360, and then now pretty
Mm.
much just PC and Switch is all I got right now.
That seems like a pretty common thing that's
Hmm.
happened is people going from Nintendo to either PlayStation or Xbox or PC or all of them or a mixture of things.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah.
Where did that bring you in terms of an honorable mention then?
So honorable mentions, I tried to like cut out any of like kind of just had like a lot of crossover. Like I tried to include like one of each type of game just to
Yeah.
like spread it out. Because otherwise it's like, oh, do I just want to have all the Mario sports games on my top 10? Because that might have been what it was if I
Yeah.
didn't like screw it down and try and spread it out. So it's like
Mm.
not only did I do like genres, I was just kind of like going back to like different points in my life of like, okay, can I remember like a specific time, like being excited to playing a game like as a kid or like back in high school. So it's like I kind of that's kind of how I decide more of my top 10 is like did they have good moments like for me, not necessarily like oh does this have the best like gameplay or whatever. It's more
Yeah.
like a personal kind of list.
There's kind of, I mean, technically there's two different questions that I always struggle with. I'm like, which question are you asking? What are my favorite or what do I think are the best? Like those are not always going
Mhm.
to be the same answer. So, yeah. So when we're asking
Yeah.
favorites, it's like you might there's going to be some nostalgia involved. There's going to be some like
Hmm.
heartwarming explanations sometimes. You never know.
Yeah, that was definitely like a balance I had. It was like, okay, like I could go for all nostalgia, but then I had to like really think about it. I was like, okay, does it hold up past the nostalgia? Like
Yeah.
there's definitely one or two on my list where it's like I'd actually gone back to try and play recently, and I was like, oh, it's like not nearly as good. So that actually like
Yeah.
removed it from my like potential like top 10 list. So it's like a couple of those honorable mentions.
All right.
Uh but yeah, I don't know if I want to say those yet. I feel like I should say those towards the end because it's like then it will like ease up some of your guesses if I give some honorable mentions.
Okay. Yeah. Do whatever order you want to do. If you want to like start with specific numbers and then in between them be like because of
Yeah,
this one like I'm going to tell you this one or something.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
I'll go. Okay, so straight for my number 10. Number 10 is the only shooter I have. It's like I'm not that big of a shooter person, and there's kind of like a few that I had on my list that I was thinking about adding, but I was like, I feel like I'm not a shooter guy, so it's like I'll just do one, and this
Mm.
is probably the one I like. I don't know necessarily if it's the one I played the most, but it's like I have the most memories of like rushing home from school. I was like, okay, I need to get on like right away and start playing this.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay.
I don't know if you need any more besides shooters. And it's definitely like if you take a list like my list of consoles I played on, it was an Xbox 360 game for sure. It
Yeah. Well,
was in
I
the
mean,
era of like early high school, like Xbox live parties were like a big thing. Like you go home from school, everyone jumps in like the 8-person live party and like tries to find a game, tries to find that team of five to play in that game.
team of five. Huh.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I was originally immediately going to say Halo 3.
No, that's one of the honorable mentions.
Okay.
It's like that's one of the three that I would say are the shooters that I played the most. But I wouldn't say it quite made the cut for me.
I honestly don't know the parties. I don't even know if it is Halo because I barely played Halo. I don't even know the team size.
Were you even much of an Xbox guy? I feel like
No, I've
you were
never. That,
PlayStation, right? You
yeah.
never had an Xbox?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like,
No.
okay, because it's like I don't even know. I don't know if it is an Xbox. I think it's an Xbox exclusive.
Well, then that would lead to like Gears of War.
Oh, which one? We're the same age too,
Two?
so you could even like math it out from the release dates. But yeah, it is Gears of War 2.
Mm, okay.
So, and I think that's like I don't even know if I think that might be like a hot like take. I feel like in terms of like people who played all the Gears of War, I don't know if 2 might be like one of the least like
Yeah.
revered. I know like I think 1 is like the clear like top favorite of most people. But like that was like Gears of War 1 came out. I think when I was in middle school. I didn't even have an Xbox yet, so I never played it. I just like saw some at like was at a friend's house and saw that playing. And I think I was even too young where I was almost like scared of how the game was because it's pretty like gory. They got the
Yeah.
chainsaws and everything. So Gears of War 2 came out when it was my freshman year. And then like it was all my high school friends, everyone was hyped for it. So it's like I got it. There's probably like a dozen of us that would all play. So it's like we'd all rush home from school, try to like form up like, okay, what's the team gonna be? We get like 5 of us and just queue up and play the ranked games.
Yeah, I had no idea about the it was 5v5. Is that like standard across all Gears games or?
I think so.
Hmm, okay.
Maybe yeah,
I
maybe
don't
I'm
know.
wrong.
I'm
Maybe
used to like 6v6 and
it's
most
like
other stuff.
4v4. I think yeah, it's either like 4 was like Halo, and then yeah, I think 5v5 was Gears.
And yeah, you're right. I definitely have heard the most. I feel like after the fact, like Gears of War 3 was a big deal too. And then like Gears of War
Yeah,
1 in the first place was, but yeah, I don't know.
because
I don't
it
know
kind of
enough
had
about
like
it.
it had the same like trilogy feeling as Halo, where it's like it had like the main trilogy of the story, and
Yeah.
then 3 was like the big one, and then but 2 just kind of came out at the right time. And
Yeah.
like same as like another, it's kind of similar to like another honorable mention I had was the other shooter I played the most was Call of Duty World at War.
Oh,
That was like,
that's my one.
it's kind of the same exact. That's your no, that would be your number one
Yeah.
shooter or
Call of
COD
Duty,
game.
yeah, but
Okay.
which would probably be number two shooter overall. But that's again, that for me, that's a lot of nostalgia for sure.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think with my guess, I believe Gears of War 2 is 2000, the same year as World at War, as in 2008.
Yes.
Okay,
I was looking. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure they came out like the same weekend. I'm not sure if that's true, but like it came out like right after the other game.
yeah,
Yeah, 2008, correct. Because yeah, that was me freshman year high school. I had like just gotten the 360. Um, all my friends we were just playing it every day basically.
yeah. There
We
was
played this
definitely
one
like,
weird game mode because it's like because Gears the way they did the game modes was pretty cool. Is like it's like a deathmatch like the execution style where it's like you would be down and then you gotta like do like the finishing move on them. The game mode we play on was Guardian. It's kind of like a capture the flag, but it's like you have to like capture the leader. So like one person's randomly assigned the captain or like the guardian,
hmm.
and you have to like capture them and like hold on to them almost like a capture the flag, but you just have to like hold on to it like almost like oddball in Halo. So it's kind of like a really cool like objective style game that usually I never did for shooters. Usually I was just do like deathmatch or domination in Call of Duty.
Right. Yeah, there was definitely like a group of people in high school that were playing on Xbox and like they were all into Gears of War and Halo and I was just like, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm just playing Call of Duty and then I started playing like some Killzone and that was the whole like competition back then, but
Killzone was that was a PlayStation exclusive, right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, because a friend of mine was like, he was also like PlayStation only, and he was talking about like how good Killzone was, and he's basically saying like if Killzone was on Xbox, it would be like the highest regarded shooter ever, just because of how good it was. But because it wasn't Xbox, just not enough people were playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean you could say the same thing back and forth like the fact that any of these things were exclusive is always limiting,
Mhm.
so yeah. But okay. Okay. I don't know if I huh.
Have you ever played it before?
N- I don't want to I don't want to impose too much opinion here, but I tried playing Gears of War 1 for the first time a few months ago and I got I played it for like an hour or two and it's the first time I've ever experienced motion sickness and I had to stop.
Really? Huh.
It was like the way that you sprinted and then it would like
And you
lock
like
the camera
roll.
behind you
Mhm.
and then it would like you'd be like charging forward. It was so awkward. I don't like something about
Okay,
it was like giving me motion sickness.
I could see it too, yeah, because it is a lot of wonky camera movements because it's like you go behind a wall and it goes into that camera
Yeah,
angle, but it's like you have to do that really quick to kind of just like do
yeah.
like crazy movement. So it's like, and you're a lot of times you're just like rolling around. So
It's
I can
super
see how that
heavy.
could be.
It's super heavy, that's for sure.
Hmm.
But I only
Yeah.
played a little bit of the first one, so I don't like I wanted to play all of them, but then that happened and I was like, I don't know. But I don't know,
Right.
maybe some point I will.
Yeah, it actually had a pretty decent like campaign too. Like the story was pretty cool.
Yeah, I know people always talk about that.
It wasn't as good. It's not as good as like Halo's, but it's like it was pretty. It was a pretty solid story.
There you go. Yeah, we actually got like complete packages of actually good like campaign and actually good multiplayer at the same time. That doesn't really happen anymore 'cause it's too expensive.
Right. Yeah.
All
Pretty much. All right.
right, good pick.
All right. Let's go right into number nine. This one was the hardest for me to come up with the placing. Um, it's yeah, it's tough because it's like I don't really want to give out away the reason because I feel like it's tough with these because it's like I feel like I've talked to you so much about the games I've played that as soon as I say anything, you're gonna know exactly what it is. But it's like for me, all I'm gonna say is like I don't know the way it like feels. It's just like it feels like it's perfectly made for like how my brain works. Like it's such a good like brain workout or like thinking about the game. I don't even know how else to describe it. But it's not like a game where it feels good to like move around. It's just like mentally like going through everything feels super nice. And I feel like it's at 9 right now, but I feel like it's only gonna go higher.
Oh, you think it's gonna go higher because you're still playing it, or because you're gonna think more of it as time goes on, even if you're not playing it?
See, it's both, I think.
Oh,
I think even if I stop playing it, I would still feel this way and still probably put it up higher. But
I
once I
had
keep
guesses,
playing,
but you saying that makes me like that doesn't make sense because I don't think you're. That's weird. Okay, I'm like I was gonna say Mario Tennis Aces or something. I didn't know,
mm-mm.
or like, or Strikers, but like I don't think you're actively playing the Mario sports games right now.
No, it's a game I'm definitely actively playing.
But it like it's you find it mentally stimulating. Like you have to
Mhm.
be smart.
Yes.
So I'm assuming it must be multiplayer though. Then.
No. The not multiplayer. I'm surprised you didn't get it right though.
Oh. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah, you got it now.
Okay, yes, Slay the Spire.
Yes, Slay the
Oh
Spire.
man, I'm sad that I didn't say that earlier. I was so like, this happened when I was doing this with Kinots too.
So
Immediately, I
you're
was
trying to
thinking of something,
overthink it almost.
and then I completely already wrote off anything that wasn't multiplayer. So
Hmm.
okay, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Did you do any prep beforehand? Like, did you like write
No,
out a list of games?
no,
I feel like
that you've mentioned.
I feel like if you did that, just like you should that's something you should do is come up with like a list beforehand of just like based on the person, like what you think their top 10 could be, just purely random.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you did that for me, you would probably get like at least half of them right. Maybe
Mm.
not the exact order, but like you would get most of them.
Yeah, I've got like three that I'm assuming are coming. Other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's like for me, it's like actually no, I won't say anything because it's gonna give you more and more away what it is. But yeah, Slay the Spire. I started playing it for the first time like a year ago. I played a little bit, probably did like five-ish runs on each character. It was really good, and then I stopped, and then I started playing again like a month or two ago. Um, because I got a tablet. I was like, oh, what's a good game to play on that? And it's like, oh, Slay the Spire, number one.
Yeah, that works.
And then a buddy of mine, he watches a lot of Northern Lion. Um, and he was saying like, oh, he just started playing Slay the Spire again. Like, you should watch some of his videos. And I'd never really watched any of his stuff.
Mm.
I started watching his videos too, and I was like, he's kind of doing the same thing as me, just going by like one character at a time, like A1 through Ascension 1, Ascension to all the way to Ascension 20. So it's been kind of nice, like playing a couple rounds, then I'll like watch him do a couple rounds. It's been kind of nice, like helping me get even more into the game.
Hmm.
So that was another thing I was gonna say at the intro is like, because I just watched a lot of Twitch and YouTube and stuff, so it's like that's been a big part of actually like what like getting some of these games is just also watching people play, not just playing them myself. Like if this game is good to watch and just kind of learn from other people, like
Mm.
watching you play Slayer Spire is pretty nice too. It's like okay, I can see like someone who's just like only doing A20 stuff. I can kind of see like okay, what kind of cards does he like to pick? What kind of builds does he like to go for? So that's kind of like how I like to learn games a lot too. Is just like I could straight up watch a game for a few hours and like learn way more about the game than actually just like playing it myself for like 30. So it's like this game is perfect for that kind of thing. It's like I can
Yeah,
watch and play and I get like the same amount of enjoyment out of it almost.
it is. Yeah, it is interesting. I've found that too, watching people that are way better than me at it, and I'm like, oh, you're doing something that I never even considered. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that happens all the time because there's just so many different combinations of cards and stuff that seem like they don't make any sense. And like over the course of me playing the game when I first started, there were so many cards where I was like, that's obviously bad. Why would I use that? That like causes a problem. That's stupid. I'm never picking that. And then like 500 hours later, I'm like, oh my God, give me that. I need that. Like,
Yep.
you gotta,
Yeah, that's me trying to figure out Ironclad right now. It's just like I just started playing it. I'm only on like Ascension 2 and I've died like four times in a row. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. It's like from like beating Silent like A15 through A18 four times in a row. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm losing on Ascension 2 because it's just like, oh, I'm just dying. It's like, how is this happening?
yeah, they're all very different. It's cool how they, I don't know how they did that. It's so simple too. But usually things that are that simple are just like don't feel engaging or you don't feel like you're accomplishing anything or like you're actually responsible for anything, but it really is so like reliant on your own ability to figure out what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and it's like you can tell a good game is like even if you're doing bad at it, like or like bad, like it still feels like good and you can feel like okay, I'm still like learning on that run or it's like it's still like a fun thing. I'm just like
Yeah,
it's more like damn, but not like you're not just like raging.
you
You're
want
just
to
like
punch your
God damn
screen.
it.
Yeah.
It's like it's a more like I don't know, constructive like getting mad, not just mindlessly being like God damn it.
For the most part you don't like there's some times where I'm like, wow, that was incredibly unlucky, but most of the time it's like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that like 3 floors ago. I probably screwed
Mhm.
myself. It's like you could, if you really think about it, it's probably your fault. So
Yeah, it's a good game like that where you can go back like as soon as you die, like you immediately start thinking about like, okay, which decision like turned this run bad,
yeah,
and just being able to go back and being able to pinpoint like, oh, okay, taking this getting this relic or like taking this card or removing this card. Just simple things like that where you can kind of track back every single one of your moves and just kind of figure out where you can go better. Just it's really satisfying and really
Yeah.
addicting. So it's
Yep.
like you can go for like, oh, I'm just gonna do one run. Next thing you know, you're playing for 4 hours straight.
Well, hopefully it climbs your list, or by that point, we're gonna have the sequel next year at some point.
Honestly,
So
yeah, with the sequel coming out, what? So that's coming out. Is that for sure coming out next year?
early
Or
access.
it is? Okay. It's not like
Yeah.
an early access type thing.
No, that's why I said early access next year.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
gonna? Uh,
They
is
did it
that
with
gonna be?
they did it with the
Is it gonna be?
first one.
Okay. Is it gonna be similar to like a Hades, where it's gonna be
I
like
don't know, I
not
haven't touched it.
fully all the way?
But I think what they did was like they added the characters over time basically. But I don't know if they're going
Oh,
to do that this time because it seems like they already have the characters established and there's returning
okay.
ones, so I don't know.
And that's what the Watcher was, right? Like the Watcher was a new character.
I think that was after the initial launch. The new, I believe, I could be wrong because I wasn't following it until after it was out, but I think the Ironclad and the Silent were in it as it was being developed in early access, and then the Defect was like around the time of or at the launch of the actual game, and then the Watcher was a little bit later.
Yeah. That was another thing too, is like when I looked up the release date, I was like, oh, okay. Do you know what it
Oh,
is?
right. It's a little like the actual like 1.0 full release.
I think yeah, that's why I looked up.
I think it's
And I think the beta was the same year when I looked it up. It was like the beta was
okay.
like beginning of the year and then it came out at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think it was 2019.
Ooh, I got 2017 when I looked it
That's
up.
not. That's got to be the
That
early access. There's no way.
let me, I was surprised. I was like, no way, it's that old.
I don't know.
It says
It could be 2018.
November 14th, 2017.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's not the uh, full release because I know it went on to.
Oh, wait, yeah, you're right. Okay.
Okay.
So his early access was 2017. The official release was January 2019. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I shouldn't have doubted you.
It came because when like where I spent the most time playing it, it was on Game Pass. It went to Game Pass, and I that was like right when I got Game Pass, and I was like, "What is this? I don't play card games. I guess I'll try it." And then I was like,
And
"Oh shit!"
then you realize it's one of the best games ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm curious how it goes. Like, so once I beat, because I've beaten two characters to 820. I feel like once I get to 820 and then I try to do the heart runs,
Yeah, it makes it so
I feel
much
like that's
harder.
just like a totally different game at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah, it is.
So we'll see how if I stick with it.
Yeah.
All right, so number eight. Okay, we're it's a different kind of game that came out like in a very weird time in my life, and it's like I started playing it, and I was like had a lot of free time, and I was like the game kind of I don't know, it kind of became like a daily routine, almost like clocking in to a job every day, but like really satisfying way. So it's like a lot of grinding, a lot of just like play for a little bit at a time, and then you slowly build up and you play a lot. I've given you so much shit while talking about this game, and I feel like you're just it's one that comes up as just like almost like a meme game when I talk about it.
You've given me shit?
Just like not shit about the game, but I just kind of like mess with you just talking about how much I liked it and how just like a common like this like almost like a troll game, but it's like a game I played a lot and actually really liked.
Among
Even though the
Us?
whole what?
Among Us?
No, but it's not like that trolly. It's like
Minecraft?
no,
Damn it. I thought it was the Steve thing. Okay.
no. Ooh, I've never played Minecraft though, but
What?
you're on the right
Wow.
you're on the right track with the Steve thing. It's pretty funny.
Well, it's
I've compared it to like Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild, in just the old troll way. big open world game like that.
Oh my God. I feel like I should very easily know, and I'm just.
It copied a lot of stuff from Breath of the Wild.
Oh, Genshin Impact?
Yes.
Okay, right.
That one, it's basically purely because I played it for like a year straight, and it was a lot of fun and just like really addicting, but like not in like that good of a way like
Yeah, I
Slay
was.
the Spire. It's like it's like I play this game a lot. Like I don't know, it's like you get addicted to games for like better or worse, and this is definitely one of the like a worse like
I'm glad you can.
situation.
I'm glad you can admit that, but then also put it higher than Slay the Spire.
That's like
That's great.
that's why it was so hard to place like the bottom five, like 10 through 6. It's like almost interchangeable.
Yeah,
It's like they're all games I liked and played a lot, but it's like in terms of the actual like quality of the games, they're kind of spread out. It's like it's
fair
all
enough.
games where it's like I think this top 10 might actually be like 10 of the games I've played the most, in addition to also being like 10 of my like favorite games. It's like I don't know, we can't think about it. It's like you spend so much time. If you spend so much time in a game, you definitely like it, even if it's like certain parts of it like aren't that great because it's like Genshin's just like gotcha game basically.
You would think
That,
so, but there's definitely. I was just talking about this on stream yesterday. There's definitely people that play games and then do nothing but shit talk them constantly and imply that they don't like them. Like people that play League of Legends all the time or Call of Duty, and they're like, actually, it
yeah,
sucks and I hate it, but yeah, I play it every day. It's like, what do you?
yeah,
Why are you doing that?
it, yeah. It's definitely like yeah. You can definitely tell when people are just straight up addicted and don't know what
Yeah,
else to do versus
yeah.
like I actually really like this game and it's like I have kind of like clear things that I'm striving for in this game. Like Genshin was nice because it's like most days I would only just log in, do the dailies, and then log out because there's nothing else to do once you reach a certain point. So it's like a lot of times I'll just basically clock in, do my like 20 minutes of Genshin, and then be
Oh
done,
man.
and then wait for the next big event to come, and then you come back. So it's like that's where it's kind of cool, where it's like if you have the like I don't know, like the self restraint to not just like, oh, I need to get everything, I need to get every character, I need to spend a bunch of money. And it's like it's actually pretty chill and like a fun game to just like unwind. And that's kind of what I did. I basically had a routine when I was like between jobs. It's like, okay, wake up, apply for a job, do my Genshin stuff, go work out, go cook some lunch, and then come back, do something else. And it's like I kind of had like a set routine um for that like few months, and it actually was pretty nice, which is why I actually had like a like favorable like viewing of the game because it's like a lot of people go back and they say like, oh, I was addicted to this gotcha game
Yeah.
for so long, where it's like it was just like a nice chill single player game and actually had some really fun like attack like really fun like combo fight system that was really nice. And also at the time when I first found out about it, I was like, there's a bunch of Twitch streamers that I watched that were playing it. So it's like, I'm pretty easily like, I'll see someone play a game on Twitch. I'll be like, ooh, that sounds cool. I'll check it out. And that's where it's
I
like a
mean,
lot of these games too. It's like, okay, I like watching streamers play or like playing with people I know, like playing a game with you or
yeah.
something. Not this game, but other
Yeah, I know I've never played it.
games.
Didn't happen. I made a commitment not to, but I don't know. There was probably things about it that I would have liked, but I just
Yeah, it
feel like
definitely has some like the RPG. Like it's fun like building characters that like I like watching a lot of videos of like character guides or like team comp builds and just like seeing a video of like, oh, I have those characters. I could try using them together. And it's like use them to do like the boss rush modes that were really fun.
all right. I don't know. I mean, it's somewhere, but I would say I feel like it didn't come out in 2020. 2020 feels too late, and 2018 feels too fast considering how much it was taking from Breath of the Wild. So I guess 2019 would be my guess.
Lows. It was 2020.
Oh, okay.
Came out right during the pandemic. So it's like basically I was working and I was like working from home and then I was like, okay, then I was between jobs and I was like, okay, I'm like basically stuck at home while I'm also like at the time I was preparing to like move to a new city too. So I was moving to Denver, and then I was like, okay, I'm just at home, like just kind of applying for jobs while waiting to move to the new place and like prepping home. And then I was just like, okay, I was just like, I need something to fill the time.
Yeah.
And I saw a bunch of streamers playing, and I was like, ooh, this looks really cool because it basically just Breath of the Wild, but more anime, and
Yeah.
the fighting system was really fun.
Hmm.
So yeah, it kind of got me at the right time. That was like the big like note I had. Like I kind of have a bullet point under each of the games, and the bit was like it got its claws into me at the right time, for better or worse. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. That happens for sure.
Mhm.
Awesome.
All right. So number seven. All right. Number seven. It's the game that it's like my favorite sport. I don't know if you know what my favorite sport is to play and watch, but it's like a game on that. It's like the one hit I'm gonna give.
I mean, is your favorite sport soccer or tennis? I think I
Yeah,
I
there's a
know you
few
play
sports games
volleyball.
that you can think
There's no
of.
Mario volleyball game.
Yeah, there's no good volleyball game. That's like my current favorite sport to play. But yeah, no good volleyball games that I know of,
Uh,
other than like maybe like a random Mario Party mini game. I feel like there's one of those.
well, let's go with Super Mario Strikers, the first one.
Mm-mm. That
Mario.
that was like that's honestly like my first honorable mention. I think that would be like number 11. The GameCube Mario Strikers was really good, but
Mario Strikers Charged.
no,
So it's Mario Tennis Aces.
no,
What?
no, it's a not Mario sports game.
Oh, damn it. Wow. Okay. Um. Oh, wait a minute. I heard like NBA 2K something.
Mm-mm. Nope, not NBA.
NHL?
No, you're right the first like thing you were thinking of.
FIFA.
But which one? Which
Which
one?
one?
There's so many of them. Which one do you think would have been my favorite? And it's more so just think of like when in my life I would be playing FIFA, what year, not so much like what game was actually the best. Because I feel like everyone probably has their own
13.
close. It was FIFA 12.
I almost
So
said
yeah,
that. Damn it.
FIFA 12. I think because it's like the way the FIFA games work. There's basically like each new FIFA is just kind of like a update patch basically. Like not a whole lot changed. There's like slight tweaks to the mechanics. All the teams would update.
Yeah.
And then FIFA 12 was just it felt the best because it's like I started playing in like FIFA not 09 because basically when I started playing like soccer a lot, it was in high school, so it's like I play FIFA with all my soccer friends. So it's like we'd all like go home, play, like we'd all have our favorite teams or like teams we like to play in the game. And it's like so I did 9, 10, 11, and then 12 was like senior year of high school. So it's like I feel like that's when all of my friends we were playing Xbox the most. So it's like FIFA, that one just ended up being the one we played the most. And it also weirdly like felt the best to play. And it had a cool online mode too, where it's like a cool ranking system where it's like you had to go all the way from Division 10, the lowest, to Division 1. So it's like you play a bunch of games. If you win enough, you promote to the next division. So it's like I got all the way to the top one like pretty quickly. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, that was like I think that year, that was probably the game like I played the most, like Xbox wise.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, there was definitely lots of people in high school playing sports games, that's for sure. I wasn't myself, but
You never
that it
played
was
any of like 2K or FIFA or
I
Madden?
think I think I had one of the basketball games on PS2 or something. Like I don't know. I played with it a little bit, but no, not really. Um, yeah, it was pretty much Call of Duty, Halo, and sports games. That's all anyone played in high school, or that's all anyone talked about playing at least.
Yeah.
That's the only things that people were willing to admit that they were a video game player playing,
Yeah,
except for
those
the
are like all the most like basic like
yeah,
regular people video games.
yeah.
Yeah, that was like I don't know, because at the time it's just like okay, it's like if you're playing a game, you're gonna be in an Xbox Live chat or like because there was no like Discord or I don't even think there was Skype at that point when we were in high school. It was like very
Yeah,
early on, so it's like I
yeah.
wasn't even like Skype calls yet or like Discord calls yet. It was all just like you hop into Xbox Live parties and
Mhm.
just talk, and then there'd be like a bunch of us all in there, and then we all like pair off and play each other in FIFA. We all get really into it. It was the first time ever playing like we kind of made our own little like tournament. There's like 8 of us that were all just hanging out one day. So like, okay, let's just like make a tournament between the 8 of us, and we all did, and we all picked a team, and then we all threw in like $5, and then I ended up winning the whole thing. I was like, oh my gosh, first time winning money playing a video game. I was like, ooh, I just won 20 bucks or like $20 or whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
felt amazing.
And then you started watching competitive Smash, and you were like, "Dang, I gotta get in there and win
Yeah, and
the
then
big bucks."
yeah, and you go there and get your ass kicked by everyone else who's way too good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right. All right. I was I wasn't even considering. I I literally sometimes forget that sports games exist, even though they're
right.
like some of the like most prolific and highest selling like every year, year after year. FIFA and Madden. Well, it's not even FIFA anymore. Now it's like FC
No, it's
Club or
still
whatever.
FIFA.
I
There were some like knockoff FIFA games, but yeah, FIFA's still the main one.
Are you sure? I think
Um,
recently, like it's Football Club or something. I thought FIFA sold the name. Like the actual people who made FIFA aren't making FIFA now because they lost the rights to it.
ooh, maybe they sold it to maybe it's like a 2K thing where it's like it used to be NBA Live and then it became 2K.
I think it was FIFA. One of the big sports games had like a shakeup like that recently, and I think it's FIFA because it's called Football
EA
Club.
Sports FC 24. Oh, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay. I didn't even know about that. Because yeah, the last FIFA I played was FIFA 15. Like I stopped playing because after high school, it's like I didn't really play Xbox as much anymore. So it's like I didn't buy the new FIFA, and then all of a sudden, like one of my roommates in college was like big into FIFA too. So I was like, oh, let's get the newest FIFA. So we got
Right.
FIFA 15, and it was actually pretty fun. But that makes sense though. It's like I guess
Because
they
the
swapped out. I think because yeah, I think like I do remember. I feel like I remember like the 2K people also like they went in and bought the FIFA rights, which makes sense.
yeah,
Could be
somebody
wrong.
did. I don't remember.
But yeah, then I heard like all those games just kind of like they're really hitting the micro transactions hard because they had the whole like forget what the mode was where it's like you would buy the packs and try and get all the good players.
Is it
I
called
always just
Club
play
or something?
yeah, it's some club mode where it's like I never played that. I only just played like okay, you select the team, you go play online. You
Right.
never like I think it was Ultimate Team is what it was called.
Oh yeah,
I
I've heard
tried
that.
doing that, and it's like you had to like buy like contracts for your players like in real life. And I was like, I didn't buy a contract, and it's like, oh, I had a really good player, and then all of a sudden it said like, oh, your best player left the team, and I was like, that's stupid. And then I just never played. I was like, I don't want to have to like grind coins to get good players when I
Right.
can just play them.
All right. What's up next?
All right,
What number are we at? Was that 7?
that was 7.
Okay.
All right, so number 6. This definitely falls in that Genshin category of like
Oh, jeez.
a game spend a lot of time on, not good. The note I have,
Not
the whole
good.
stuff, the summary of this game is I've never been addicted to like a hardcore drug or anything, but I think this was probably like the closest I've ever been. That's how this game is.
What in the world? Um,
You have you've mentioned the game earlier in the chat in this discussion.
well, it's not
You were
Among
talking about
Us.
a little bit.
Um, I'm gonna keep saying Mario Tennis Aces because
Oh
some.
no, that's
Okay.
definitely a good game. This one was it's a little bit evil in terms of how this game is.
Oh, League of Legends.
Yes, League
Okay.
of Legends.
I love how that you saying that makes me think of it. I was just trying to remember what I said earlier, and that's why I thought of that.
Yeah, so when I was actually when I first listed all the games, I then like broke them out into different categories. So like I did like sports games, shooter, Nintendo, and then um like RPG, and then I just had a separate category just called Evil, and I put League of Legends and Genshin in there. I'm like that's how the only way I can like qualify them. And so it's like they kind of like fit that same
Oh
category.
man, and
'Cause,
they're
yeah,
still they're still way up here on the list.
they're still in there, just like purely because like at the time I was playing, because it's like League was like all I played throughout college. So it's like a friend of mine introduced me to the game like my freshman year. I started playing like summer my sophomore year, and then played like that was like basically the main game I played throughout like all those like 4 years of college. Um, and that's also where like how I found out about Twitch too. It was like
Hmm.
watch basically all I watched was like League streamers. So it's like I'd have a League stream on in the background while I'm playing a game, or like had it on in the background while I'm just like pretending to do homework while I'm just actually just watching Twitch the whole day. So it's just like very addicting. The gameplay, it's like super fun once you get really into it. When you have a good game
Hmm.
in League and you just like solo carry a game, it's honestly like that's why it's like almost like compare it to like a hard drug, because it's like the highs of the game are crazy high, but then the lows of the game, when you just have a terrible team, you're playing terribly, everyone that you're playing with is just arguing with each other. It's just like the lows are
Yeah,
crazy.
I've not heard great things about the community or certain
Yeah.
people in the community at least.
hmm And even like playing with your own friends too, it's like it definitely like you get super frustrated with like friends of yours, because most of the time I'd be playing with like friends of mine, and it's like the skill levels are pretty all over the place. It's like sometimes it's like I'd probably be around like middle rank, I'd be playing with people higher than me and people lower than me at the same time. So it's like the games would just be super skewed of like how they would go. It's like you never know.
If you're in
You're
the
just
middle, then you're just listening to the great people argue with the bad people, and then you're just stuck in the middle listening to
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
But
sounds.
most of the time, it's like it's one of those games where it is kind of like 50-50 if it's going to be good or not. But most of the time, it's like even the games you would lose, it's like sometimes it'd be fun, but then sometimes you just have a bad day of like, okay, it's like games going terribly. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I stopped playing after college, because it's like once I started working full time, I was like, okay, I only have so much like free time during the day. So it's like I'd go home from work and I'd like play a couple games of League, and it's like, okay, if I had two like shit games of League, then it's just like destroyed my night.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's kind of what made me realize like, okay, I should stop playing this game.
yeah. That makes sense. I was gonna say it's somewhat comparable. Like, I'm not really having this experience now playing Black Ops 6, but playing Call of Duty in the past has given me that, where it's like you'll be on a roll doing well, and it's like, man, this game's great, and then you have a few bad games, and it's like, why
hmm
am I playing this? But it would be worse with that considering the length. Like if you have a bad game or
Yes.
two and it's like 10, 15 minutes long, then it doesn't matter. But if
hmm
you're playing something, I don't even know how, like, are they like 45-minute matches or something?
On average, it's probably like 30-35 minutes for the games. And then like back when I played, like you couldn't like forfeit, and if you like, your team could vote to surrender, you couldn't do that until 20 minutes in. I think
Hmm.
now they lowered it to like 15 because so many people were like, let us surrender earlier. Because a lot of times you would just be like basically like held hostage in certain games where it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just like you can tell you're gonna lose like 5 minutes in, and it's just like, okay, we just gotta play it out for another 15
Yeah.
while we just waste our time.
Yeah.
And then that's where it gets frustrating.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Yeah. If you're it's very defeating like in a situation like that. You don't want to I see that when I'm
Wasting
watching
time like
like
that.
yeah, I sometimes I'll see that when I'm like watching sports or something. I'm like, why don't they just give up? Like there's 5 minutes left of the match, just leave. I would just leave. Just forget it. It's over.
Yeah, like in the NBA where it's like the last 2 minutes last 30 because they're doing the fouls, they gotta shoot free throws, they gotta do all their video reviews. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. You're just
Mhm.
sitting in it.
But yeah, but another reason why I like League is so high up, it's like gameplay wise is really fun, but a big part of it was like watching the pros and like watching LCS. Me and my buddies were always really big into watching that on the weekends. It's just like seeing the pros play is like really fun. It was like almost as fun as like watching like regular sports type thing. It's like having certain players that you liked or teams that you pick out. Like I really like Cloud9. I really like watching those guys stream. Like Sneaky and Meteos, they would stream all the time. I'd watch them play, and it's like kind of almost similar to like I was talking about with Slay the Spire. It's like you figure out certain like characters that you like to play, or it's like you see a pro you like play this character. It's like, oh, okay, I'll try this character
Yeah.
too, and then you learn out more things about it. And because there's so many characters in League, it's just like, okay, it's like I can try one of the 100 characters
Yeah,
and learn a new thing.
it's definitely overwhelming from the outside. I tried playing it like a year ago and I was like, no,
But yeah,
I'm good.
yeah, trying to hop in now it's impossible because it's such a high learning curve.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole thing too, is like they have the whole leveling system. I don't know if it's the same way, but it's like you have to go from level 1 to 30, and getting from 1 to 30 I think took me like a month of playing, and that's before you can even play ranked. So it's just like you gotta commit like 100 hours just to like learn everything and level up enough to play ranked, and then you start doing ranked.
Yeah, that's pretty
So it's
crazy.
just like at this point I'm like there's no way I would ever get into a game like that.
I'm just I think I'm just out entirely on anything that is considered a MOBA. After playing that, I tried Pokemon Unite. I tried, I think, Paragon or something. I think that's what it was called.
Pokemon Unite was fun.
I just,
I like that one for the little bit I played on
that
the
better not
Switch.
be on your. If that's on your list, I'm ending.
Oh, definitely not. That didn't even crack honorable mentions. I didn't
No.
even think of that on my
Yeah.
list. Like my initial list was like 20 to 25. I narrowed it down to like 15. So I think I have 6 honorable mentions, and that one like wasn't even on the short like the
Yeah.
long list.
Yeah. I
But
didn't think so.
it had its moments for like a couple weeks.
All right.
All right, so top 5.
Oh,
Okay, so
I didn't get. I don't actually know when it came out. I think I've had to
it's
guess this before.
crazy. I forgot like how
I
old the game actually
I
is.
think it's like. I'm pretty sure it's like between 2009 and 2012, but I don't know. 2000
Getting
like
there.
2009.
It is 2009, which is crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Because I think there's like open betas, and then yeah, I started playing 2013 is when I started playing, and that was like I think that was like the end of season 3, which tracks if like season 1 started like 2009, 2010. And I think I don't know. I feel like they're on like season 15 or something right now. Crazy. But yeah.
It's stuck around.
Oh yeah, going back, you also didn't guess the year of FIFA 12. When did that come out?
Well, that would be 2011, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it always came out the
Like
like
September
fall
probably,
before. Yeah.
October. Yeah.
hmm All right. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. So now top 5. These should all be ones like you like, but it's more so like which iteration of the game, and then which
Right.
order do you think I put them in?
Hmm.
So yeah,
You
number 5.
got to give me something.
Okay, so number 5, I kind of put it. I put it after League because it's like League is like evil, and I feel like this is a good cleanse to
Mm.
talk about after League. A lot of fun. We've played it a bunch together. Um, just great vibes of a game.
We've played it. Okay, well, I now is it Mario Tennis Aces?
Mm-mm.
Wait, what else did we? Oh my God, I'm probably forgetting. Am I forgetting something super obvious? Like you're not.
Yes, yes, you are.
We
Because it's like
didn't.
there's only so much I could say. Otherwise, you're just gonna get it right away.
I mean, it's not Smash Ultimate.
Hmm.
I don't think you like that enough. Mario Golf?
No,
Like,
this is so funny how much you're overthinking this. You're just completely blanking on a classic game.
we played it together.
Yes, a lot.
Oh no, what's my brain doing?
Think of all the games we played together. There's actually not that many on
I
that
know,
list.
that's what I'm saying. There's not that, like, the only thing we. It has to be a Switch game.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Well, it's not Mario Kart. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Why
Mario
did
Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
I don't. I. My brain just short circuited so hard that, like, I convinced myself that you didn't like Mario Kart. But I'm like, wait a minute. That's not even remotely true.
Too
Oh my
obvious.
God.
Yeah, so this one it's like it was a tough choice between that and Double Dash. But now that I'm like I actually recently was visiting a friend of mine and we were playing Double Dash again. And I was like, wow, this just like
Yep.
it doesn't feel as great. Granted, we were just playing like 1v1 or not 1v1, like we were playing with the shitty computer, so it was basically
Yeah.
1v1.
Yeah.
I was like, man, like the 8 Deluxe just it just
It's
feels like the right one. Probably
yeah.
just because it's the one I played the most at this point.
No, I
And
just
like,
think they've refined it to
yeah,
quite a degree. When
and
I
the fact
went,
that play online too, it's just like that's so nice.
yeah, when I went back and played all of them, I was very surprised by how much Double Dash was not as good as I like, good
Yeah,
feeling as I
did you
thought.
make a you made a video of all of them, right? Like kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
did you go like one by one or did you make like one big video?
it's one big video.
Okay, I remember watching that. That was actually really good. That was a really good video to watch because it's
Yeah,
cool because you made like a you kind of did a tier list of all of them, right?
yeah,
Like you did like two tier lists or something.
yeah. I like ranked them all beforehand, and then like after playing them, ranked them again and set to see what would move around. Yeah.
Hmm.
I was surprised in like the biggest jump to me was from Double Dash to Mario Kart Wii. Like that was when they figured out exactly what it should feel like. Like Mario Kart Wii was strangely not
Hmm.
very different from 8, and then like Double Dash was pretty different, and I was very confused and frustrated by that because I've always said Double Dash was my favorite also. Like I like a lot about it. There's a lot of cool ideas and stuff. But
Hmm.
it just doesn't hold up as well as I would hope that it did. But
Yeah, it was a lot. I was just like trying to do way too much of like playing how I used to, but because I was rusty, I was like, oh, okay, like I'm just fucking up my drifts every time.
yeah,
Like, because it's like in deluxe, it's like okay, you just gotta like hold the turn. You don't really need to like do the back and forth
yeah, because you gotta like
of
wiggle the
drifting.
stick right to get the
Yeah,
drift.
it's
Yeah,
tough. Yeah,
yeah,
because it's like you have to drift, you have to do the wiggle of the stick. And I was like, okay, it's like going from like not playing for a couple of years to like trying to go back and like do that on like Rainbow Road
yeah.
tracks. I'm just like, okay, I'm just falling off a bunch.
The special character items though, so good.
Good. The big bananas.
Yeah.
That's why I did. It was always Koopa and Diddy. So you get still get the light cart, but
Mhm.
you also have like the big banana and the triple shells.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah, like
buddy was the other paratroopa, and then Bowser Jr. get the big shell.
yeah,
Those were like the best characters.
love the big shell, yeah. Yeah. The it's a little weird like it I understand why they haven't brought it back in like online in an online function because like it does definitely obviously introduce imbalance, and especially if people like everyone can pick the same character and like everyone uses the big banana or whatever. This could just be
Oh, I never even
stupid like
thought of that. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know how they would do that if they were to bring it back in an online era, but because like
Because yeah, one of those bananas just like completely like blocks off a whole like lane. And
yeah,
then yeah, and then as soon as you hit it, three more bananas pop out, so it still blocks in another
yeah,
lap.
and like if you're good or wherever you're racing, like it was very weird. Like if you were just playing with people that you were obviously better than, or you're just playing the computers, it's like you're not gonna pick the hearts or whatever or the chain chomp. Like that's completely useless because you're not gonna be in last. So
Right.
yeah,
But you never know. Like you know, you could see some crazy metas come up with like okay, this character is really good on like this track, or
Yeah.
like bagging might actually be good. So it's like
Yeah.
doing Toad and getting the mushrooms could be crazy.
Yeah.
But now hearing about like the now that you mentioned, it's like if everyone just picked like Diddy and there's just bananas everywhere, that sounds pretty
Bowser, the
fun.
giant Bowser shells everywhere.
Those are so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Mario Kart 8. I was surprised, like, because that is kind of like the meme. It's like, oh, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe again, gonna get released for Switch 2. They're never gonna make a new one. Like, it actually was like it's pretty old, like when it came out.
Yeah, because it
You know,
originally came out in 2014, but then 2017 for a deluxe.
yeah. Because 2017, that's when the did it come out with the Switch? Was that
No,
like
it
a
was a
release
month
thing?
later.
Okay.
It was in April. Um,
Nice.
yeah, that was part of the selling point. It was like, here, you get Breath of the Wild at launch, and then a month later, you get better Mario Kart again. Or like all those people that didn't buy the Wii U because you were kind of smart. Here, you can play it now.
That was me. Yep.
Yeah.
No way I was gonna buy a Wii U. Definitely not. But yeah, because yeah, Mario, and I didn't really start playing Mario Kart like a lot. I think I bought it right away when I bought a Switch, but it's like played a little bit, but it wasn't until like pandemic hit when a bunch of like college friends of mine, like we would all get in like a Zoom call. Like they were people who didn't even like I had to like show them like what Discord was. And they were like we're getting in Zoom calls and playing like we were just playing like our own version of like Mario Kart or drunk driving. And it's like that's when I started playing a lot, and then also like would play a little bit on stream with like Mango stream or your stream.
Yeah.
So I started playing it a bunch after that pandemic, and it's like been so fun. And it's like it's still a great game too. Like now that they're releasing the new tracks, it's been nice like going back in like the last few months of like, oh, a new track pack is coming out. You
Yeah.
go play the new tracks a bunch, and then you wait a few months, come back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice cadence and like a good amount each time that it made it worth waiting for and like just kind of getting people back into it and like it's just something that you can always play and get back
Yeah,
into easily. You don't have to relearn anything.
yeah, and it's definitely a game you can definitely play too much. Like you can kind of feel it like
Yeah.
after you've been playing for a couple days, it's just like okay, like I need to be done because it's like
Yeah.
at least like so much you can do in Mario Kart. Not like a game you could just grind and play
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. It's a
Definitely a
good
pick up and play.
good in between other things kind of game.
Hmm.
I'm I'm so annoyed that I didn't think of
You're
that.
just like, what games have we played together? I don't know.
It's like I
Like,
forgot who you were for a second. That's actually what happened. I was like, we've never
I
played Mario Kart.
I think you probably what it is you've probably seen me in Twitch chat a lot while you're playing Mario Kart and forgetting that I'm also playing while in Twitch chat. So it's like you're talking to me in chat while playing. It's
I
like,
don't
oh, this
know.
guy must not be playing.
I don't know. Oh boy. All right.
All right. Number four. Okay. So the only non-Nintendo game in my top five.
And it's not a shooter.
Nope. And I would
Hmm.
say like in terms of how it feels, it's like definitely the most satisfying game to play. Like how if Slay the Spire is like the best like mental feeling of a game. Like hate. Oh, I almost said it.
Hades.
But yeah, Hades is, is the best game in terms of like how it actually feels to play. Like, got so addicted to it and played a lot.
I had that. Hey, I was thinking that would be here. So, um, wow, that's pretty high up. Are we at number
Mhm.
three?
Number four,
Four? Okay,
actually.
four. Yeah.
Mhm.
How did you play it when it came out, or did you get into it afterwards?
No, it was after because
I'm
I
trying to
forget when I
remember
bought
if
it.
like I'm trying. Did you get into it because of me suggesting it, or am I misremembering that?
Honestly, I'm not sure because I feel like I don't remember. I feel like you weren't really streaming it. I feel like
No,
you
no, I
streamed it a
just played
little
it.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
I don't know. But yeah,
when
it's
I don't honestly,
wonderful.
yeah, I don't remember if because it's like usually I can kind of pinpoint like, okay, did I watch a certain streamer play, or did one of my friends recommend it, or did
Yeah,
I
I
like read about it? But I think it's just like I feel like maybe I saw it because I played it on the Switch mostly. I think I might have been like, oh, it just like went on sale on the eShop, and then I was
yeah.
like, okay, I've heard so many good things, I'm just gonna finally buy it.
Yeah, that's definitely a word of mouth type game that like obviously had a big release, but at the same time like stood out so much and like people continued to play it over the years
Yeah,
and
because
talk
I
about
I
it.
definitely didn't play it like when it had the initial hype because it won like Game of the Year, didn't it? Like when it came out, or like it
I
won a
mean,
bunch of
depends on
awards.
who you ask, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking of like the what's the big like video game awards, the one on Twitch.
Yeah, the Game Awards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it like won Game of the Year and
I
it got all one.
don't
I feel like it did. Maybe
I
I'm
don't
thinking
know
of
if it
something.
did there. I know that it's like it on that site that I like. There's a site I like to go on that like ranks all the games each year based on how many Game of the Years they get
Is
across the
that is
internet.
that on backlogged or whatever?
No, it's
Oh,
just
it's
I don't know. It's like a Game of the Year list website, and it lists like every publication and like what they've given it, and like then it ranks them based on how many Game of the Years it's gotten. So it's probably
okay.
like I think on there it's probably number two for the year because that was The Last of Us 2 also, which The Last of Us
Mhm.
2 definitely won a lot.
Damn,
So
I can't believe I just spoiled it. So funny. I was literally just looking at my notes and I was just like 80s. But you were gonna guess it, right? You kind of
yeah,
knew.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just
Um,
only because that's kind of was like I was thinking like top five. It's like pretty clear like what
Now, have you played any of their other games?
Hades too.
Yeah, before Hades.
No, I've only played them.
Okay, because
What
you
were the other?
might.
What are the games?
They're very different. Like it's interesting because Supergiant's a studio who have until Hades 2 put out four very different games that basically have nothing to do with each other. So that's been pretty cool because obviously most studios go like the sequel route and they're like, yeah, we need to make franchises, and they haven't really done that until now, which makes sense because Hades by far has been like the biggest success they've had. But they had Bastion, which people really like. I don't like.
Oh, okay. I remember you talking about that before.
Transistor is the one that I would say that you should play because it's kind of you can see DNA of Hades in it. It's way slower. It's like I think I don't remember actually. It might be turn based. It's a little more strategic, but it's kind of the same thing where you're like looking down and you have like all these cool flashy attacks and it's very the
Uh,
music is great, the art's great.
is
So
it like a roguelike or is it just like a regular
mm,
single player game?
man, I don't think it's a roguelike because it's like linear level based. I don't remember exactly. It's been a decade at this point because yeah, but you might like it. It's not as hectic. So if that's what you like about Hades, but if you like everything else about Hades, then you'd probably like it.
Probably. I liked Hades too from what I've played so far, but I don't think I'm gonna wait for. I think talking to you like the whole like early release versus waiting for it, I'm kind of like leaning more towards your side now that I've played the early access stuff. I'm just like
It spoils
kind of
it.
wish I just waited for it all to come out rather
Yeah,
than like getting bits and pieces.
yeah, yep.
But I did see they did like release like they had like a new patch for it and like have a new whole new area, and I saw like a screenshot. I was like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold off.
yeah. They're the art their art team is super good. It's great.
Hmm.
And the music. That's one of the few soundtracks that I go back and like listen to casually or like play it on stream or whatever because that's top tier too. Pretty much everything like that's one of the Hades is one of the games where it's like you can't really point to anything wrong with it. Like I'm not
Right.
no game is perfect, but like even some of my favorite games I can be like that's a little rough or like pretend to ignore this part or I don't really like this part, but it's like Hades. No, can't really say anything bad.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
you
you can
nailed
even
that.
like in Hades, you could try to think of like, oh, this specific enemy is annoying, but it's like once you get the hang of it, it's like, oh, okay, it's like you can kind of go through pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't do in Haiti was beat the what's like the heat. The last like
32, like the highest
32
highest.
heat was the only
Yeah.
one I haven't like done yet.
Yeah.
because there's all those checkpoints. I think I did like 20. I think 20 or 24 is like the
Yeah,
highest.
I bowed out on that. I was like, this is just getting a little bit too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Each of the weapons are always super fun to use.
Yeah. I like how they incentivize you to choose new ones so that you could earn more currency, because otherwise you definitely fall into just using the same thing over and over again. So that's a cool way to do that.
Yeah, because you definitely do need that little bit of a push, and then you start to real. Because otherwise, yeah, otherwise I could totally see myself like getting really sucked in, like, oh, I'm just gonna become like a bow main and
Yeah.
only use the bow. But it's like once you're actually forced to use or like encouraged to use the other ones, you
Yeah.
kind of learn more about the game. It's way more fun just swapping around.
Yeah. That's that's something I've learned to appreciate about certain games,
Yeah,
encouraging different play styles and stuff.
yeah, like a certain one game that would be your top number one game if it was still actually a game, but it might not be a
Yeah.
game anymore, but it could
Mm,
come back. Oh wait, no, it's dead.
yeah. Anyways. Wow. Anyways.
It almost made my honorable mention list. Never played it, but almost made
Wow.
the list.
Wow. That's interesting.
All right. Okay. So number three, it's the game where it's like you kind of just need to figure out which one do you think is my favorite? Because it's like it's one of the games like you ask someone and it's like which one in the series is someone's favorite, and it's like totally different from person to person.
Soul Silver.
No, not a Gen 2 guy.
Coliseum. XD.
That was I was thinking about it as like just to like switch it up, but no, that's it had to go with the honorable mention. Even though I love those games, I couldn't quite do a hot enough take to put it in there.
Emerald?
Yes, Emerald. I think by far the Pokemon game I played the most
Hmm.
as a kid because the first game I had was Ruby. I think this was something you said where it's like everyone's favorite Pokemon game is also like the first gen that they played. So it's like Gen 3 was my first like Pokemon game. It's like I got a Game Boy Advance and I got Pokemon Ruby with it. And then super fun. And then it's like I heard about Emerald. This was like before I really knew much about how Pokemon did. I was like, wait, they're remaking it while also like adding stuff to it. I was like, holy shit. My like 10-year-old brain was freaking out.
Yeah.
So then I got it and like just did everything. And that's when they had like the Battle Frontier. So it's like doing all that stuff, trying all those different things, and then actually being able to like catch all the legendaries. Because that was like the one major thing I messed up when I first played Ruby, is because it was like going for the legendary. I was like, okay, there's only one of them, but I ran out of Pokeballs, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll just kill it, come back, and then I did it, and I
Wow.
was like, I had to like save my game too after like an idiot, because it's like after you kill Groudon, then it's like the story goes, and then you have to do something else, and I was like, oh, I'll just go back and catch it, and I was like, where is it? It's not
Oh
there.
no.
And I was like, no, just devastated. I think I actually might have like cried when I was a
I
kid
was just
when I
gonna say,
realized.
and then you just were fine and you didn't like never play it again. Like,
Well, because I no, I kept playing like, but I was just like, I didn't get the legendary.
yeah.
I didn't get the Pokemon that's on the cover. So I was like devastated. I was like, you can only have one save file, so it's not like I could go back and
Yeah.
I'm not going to delete my save file.
Yeah,
Because like
that's a little
that's another thing with
excessive.
Ruby too is like I beat it. I'm just like the only way I can start a new game is by erasing my old save. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm never gonna do that, so I just never replayed Ruby. And luckily, Emerald
That's
came
how they
out.
got you. That's what I was like,
Yeah,
oh, well, now I can go get Sapphire. Oh, or I can get Emerald. Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so I had all of them, and I would do that. I would play like more than I would play
Mhm.
both of them at the same time, go back and
That
forth.
that's next level because my I got Ruby and my sister got Sapphire, so she was playing that. And then I was playing Ruby, so it's like I wanted to do that. I'll be like, "Hey, can I play your Sapphire?" And she's like, "No, it's mine. I don't want to keep playing it." As she's only on like Gym 2 after like 3 months, I was like, I can never play it until like a year later when she finally was like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna play it. When
Yeah.
I was able to play through Sapphire. But yeah, Gen 3 definitely my favorite. Trying to think of
Why is Emerald? Why? You just
just because it
you said
it
all that
felt
about
like
Ruby, but
because Ruby was like the first one, but it's like it just felt like Ruby but better. Like
yeah,
they added some cool things. It's like you got the combination of like the Pokemon from Sapphire that you missed out on.
yeah,
So it's like you got to have everything. It's like I felt like I was smarter, so it's like I took everything I learned from Ruby. I was like, okay, now
yeah,
that I know like this stuff is coming, I'll just like plan for it more. And like also when I was a kid, I got the Ruby, I got like one of those like the guides. I don't know if you ever got that, like the old like
yeah.
paperback guides, and that basically was like my Bible as a kid.
Oh
Like I
yeah,
was carrying it around, all worn down, like
oh yeah. I still
pages
have
crumpled up.
those. I have a ton of those. They might actually be over there. I have them somewhere.
I remember when I came back because when I bought Sword and Shield because like I had a Switch and I was like, "Ooh, I can buy the new Pokemon game," and I got all excited like, "Ooh, I'm gonna buy the guide," and then I started playing Sword. I was like, "Oh, this game's terrible. It's so easy." And brain dead. I was like, "Oh, I'm also just like 25 or
Yeah,
whatever age I was when they came out." I was like, "Oh yeah, it's not the same anymore. The games are just worse." But yeah.
yeah. Pokemon was great for a while,
Mhm. Yeah,
especially
Gen
when you're
3, yeah,
younger.
Gen 3 is definitely the best because that also was the gen that had Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Oh yeah,
Like I played those because I never played the original Red or Blue.
right. Yeah, that was a good few years because then Coliseum and XD were also in that like same few years.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Also, Hades was 2020, by the way. I forgot to say that.
Oh yeah. I thought you did say
No, I mentioned The Last of Us, but
that. Okay.
I didn't say it.
All right. So when did Emerald come out?
2005, 2004,
I have 2004. I might have
2000. That is that
maybe I got wrong
Japan?
because I know there's always like the Japanese
Yeah, I think that's
and
Japan
North
then,
America.
because 2004 would have been Leaf Green and Fire Red. 2003 is Ruby and Sapphire.
Yep. Okay. It was Japan. Oh, so Fire Red came out before
Yeah,
Emerald.
yeah, it was in
Interesting.
between.
Okay, maybe that's why I was extra hyped about Emerald because it's like I probably got Fire Red. I was like, oh, this is fun, but like Gen 1 not as good as Gen 3. I like the Gen 3 Pokemon way better,
Hmm.
but I think it's mostly just because it's my first game.
Yeah,
I always like
yeah.
the Pokemon. So I was like, okay, Emerald, we're back. We're here. We're back to Gen 3. Okay, who was your favorite starter from Gen 3?
Gen 3 is like the only gen where I think all three starters are actually good. So,
Good as in like cool or were fun to play as? Or both?
both.
Both,
Like,
yeah.
I think they have it's the best overall. They're not, none of
It's
them
a
are like
tough
my
one.
favorite, but they're like Sceptile is really cool. Blaziken's one of the fire Pokemon that I like more than any of the other ones. And then like Swampert's also cool, but
Yeah, so it goes like Blaziken, Charizard, everyone else.
no,
For
not
you.
quite.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that. No comment.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I first started, because it's like I had the guide when I first started. So I was like, okay, what's gonna be the best starter to use? So I basically like went through the guide and it kind of like mapped out like, okay, which starter is the
Damn, you
best to
spoiled
use.
everything. Check every gym type.
Oh
Is that what
yeah.
you're
I
doing?
was because
Oh,
how old was I? I was like
need all the help you can get.
I think yeah, I was like 8 when the games came out. So I was like, I didn't care about spoilers. I was just like, what Pokemon is the coolest? What game's gonna be the best? Because I was like, oh, I gotta make use of this guide that I have.
Hmm.
So I was like studying it. But then when I was looking through, I was like, oh, it's kind of balanced out pretty well. So I was like, dang it. There's no like better starter to
Yeah.
choose. But I went with Mudkip. That was the first one. I always thought the water Pokemon were cool.
Hmm.
But then now I would say Blaziken is like the coolest one. Because I think I, me as a kid, when I first picked it, picked it purely on like the first one without realizing like,
Right.
oh, this thing's gonna evolve in 10 minutes anyway. So it's like even though I liked how Mudkip looked the best, I was like, oh wait, Mudkip's gone, and now you got like the awkward looking evolutions.
Yeah.
But Blaziken definitely was, I think, was like the coolest looking final evolution of those ones.
I mean, if you say so. That's what a lot of children seem to think is that the fire type's always the cool one.
Blaziken especially. I think in hmm, going through all the gens, I think I'd probably say Charizard's my favorite Gen 1. But those, I think that one is pretty close to in terms of like how all three are together.
They definitely tended to get a little more strange as the years have gone on
They kind
in
of run
some
out of
cases.
ideas. Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. So Pokemon Emerald number 3. All right, my top two.
See, now I'm confused because I mean, I assume I know what I assume is number one.
Okay, I
I mean,
think so.
it could be number two, but oh, but there hasn't been a Mario sports game, and now so like, is it Mario Strikers Charged?
What? No.
Okay, I don't what.
You're overthinking this again. Come on, it's me and you.
So it is Mario Tennis Aces.
Yes, it's the
Okay,
Mario.
I didn't know. I didn't. I
It's the origin story. It's
I've
how
said
I
that so
found
many times already, but now we got so high on the
it.
list that I was like, I don't think it's number two. I don't know.
It's way up there.
Okay.
Like it's crazy like how much like when the game like came out, I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's finally a Mario sports game." I was out of college, so I was working full time, so I was like, I just got a Switch. And I was like, okay, new Mario sports games. Those are always my favorite growing up, like baseball, the old tennis for N64, Strikers, all so much fun. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get really into this game. And it actually like really paid off in terms of like playing it a lot. It had such a fun online mode. And like playing it, that's basically how we met. That's how I met so many people in the Mario Tennis Discord. So it's like that basically consumed my life for like a few months.
Yeah.
I think probably like what was it? It was like it came out like 5 or 6 months before Ultimate because that was always the big
Yeah.
countdown.
Yep.
All the Mario Tennis people were like, oh, "Okay, this game's gonna be dead once Ultimate comes out,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it ended up not being the case because it's like a lot of people play Ultimate and are like, "Oh, okay," and then back to Mario Tennis. So it's like that's how my days would go. It's like spend all day talking to people in the Mario Discord, Mario Tennis Discord, and then going home and playing, and
Hmm.
then going on Twitch, going through that category, just finding new streamers to talk to, and then new people to play with, and it was just so much fun. It's
Yeah.
just like the only game I could ever consider myself like a top player. It was like really cool, like being at the top of the rankings and like having people like ask people like opinions about the game, like, hey, like, how do you think this character is, or like, how do you think this character should play?
Yeah.
How do you think this matchup goes? How do you think this court works? And just kind of having all those discussions with like all the people in the Discord was so much fun. So many hours just spent not doing work and just talking about Mario Tennis.
Yeah. It was weird, like how much time so many people spent on it, like myself included, just like
Mhm.
either streaming it or playing it or like hosting tournaments or playing in tournaments or just talking in the Discord or um that was a pretty yeah, it was probably like a solid when did I wanted to
Yeah,
say it
what
came out in August, but I think it's a little earlier than that.
it was
It
earlier.
was
It
June. Oh
was
yeah, it
like,
was June. I think it was in June 2018.
mhm. Yeah.
So we had a solid like 6 months before Smash came out.
Mhm.
um and that was yeah, there were so many people that just like spent so much time in that community.
Mhm.
A
Yeah,
lot of cool people.
it was cool too how it had like the two different modes because it's like I played the standard mode, I played the regular with like the meter and the trick shots, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. And then I switched to the simple mode or the classic mode, and then I was like, okay, this is what I was
Yeah.
wanting because it's like
Yeah.
I really like Mario Tennis 64, and that was the only one I really played all that much. I didn't play the GameCube one very much.
Uh,
I don't even know if there was there one for the Wii,
I
a Mario
think they
Tennis.
I think what they did on the Wii was repurpose the GameCube one and gave it motion controls.
Oh,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure. I didn't play that, but I played it on GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
Power
And it
tennis.
so when I did the simple mode for Tennis Aces, it felt a lot like this N64 one. I was like, okay, this was good. And then I started playing a lot, and then that's where um then I saw Mango was playing. I was watching his stream. He was playing, I was playing, got matched up against him, beat him, no big deal, kind of whooped him. And then it's funny going and talking to him in his chat. I like sub to him, and he was like, "Say to like, okay, join our sub tourney this week." And my subs were gonna destroy you. You're not shit. It was just like talking shit. It's really funny.
That
So then
sounds
I
about right.
joined his sub tourney, joined his Discord, start talking to those guys, and then ended up winning the tournament. Not a big deal too. It's like 60 plus people. It was really fun. The tournament was like really sick. Mango was streaming. He was commentating the games, and then that's just kind of how I became more active in his channel. It's like pretty much watch his stream all the time, active in his Discord. So then it's like I became even more active in that, talking in two different Discords about that game, which
Hmm.
is really funny considering it's just Mario Tennis.
Yeah.
But like how it became like such a nice little community. And it's like you came along, started hosting all your tournaments. Those were really fun. We had those big like the really super competitive ones with like all the whole Discord. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm having like an hour long match with Hooky. We're just spamming spamming our slice moves back and forth. I'm like getting super tilted by Boo, and we're just having really fun
Yeah.
matches. As like I think it's like the first time I've ever like legit like raged at a game, but it wasn't like being mad. I was just like so upset about losing because it's like you get so into it, you get so
Yeah.
competitive. So it's like, and it was like one of the matches against Hooky. We played for like I remember we were playing for like probably like over 30 minutes, and like PKK or someone else like comes into like the like our group chat that we were I think it was like a start GG chat and saying like, "Hey, you guys still playing? Like, what's going on?" We're kind of like holding up the
Why
tournament.
are you
We're
stalling?
just, between points, we're just like, "Yeah, it's just taking a long time." Because it's like we're just stuck on a tie break forever. And I think I ended up losing that. I just go and just scream into my pillow, just so mad. But it's like such
Oh.
a fun time.
Once it lasts that long, it's like you can't lose.
Yeah, it's like if you lose at that point, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's
I could
so
have
much
lost 20 minutes ago. That would have
energy.
been a better situation.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's like think about all the people it's like we talked to and played against and just had so many good times. It's like, and then like even then, like even after those first initial months, like coming back every once in a while, I kind of did that within the first like year or two. Like I come back, like play
Yeah.
a few games, like it was surprisingly like still active. But then they kind of changed how they did the modes, and then they did like the introduced that whole tourney mode, so it's like trying to find matches became pretty hard, and
Yeah.
then it just kind of died out.
Yeah, because then you could only find people that were in the same round as you or whatever. So you had everyone just kept resetting to the beginning of the
Like you
round.
win one round and then come back.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Like, it is surprising. It's weird because the general assumption and like consensus of like everyone, not the people that like got really into it, but just like the general opinion is that the game is not good. And like people are wrong about that. But
Mhm.
the problem is that the single player campaign, which they tried to like advertise as a significant part of the game, was absolutely completely horrible. So
Oh,
tons of people totally played the game, bought the game, played that, and were like, "Why did I buy this?" And then didn't bother like getting into the playing it online or whatever. And then they were like, "Well, this game sucks."
mhm. Yeah, because the Mario Tennis because even like when I'm thinking of that N64 Mario Tennis, like the single player mode was basically you just do tournaments against computers and you just do matches against like
Yeah.
a whole tournament of computers and you go, and then the last one was always Bowser. They always made Bowser the best, like and hardest to beat, and then you'd always play, and it's like they didn't even have that in Aces. It's like you couldn't even just like organize a tourney with bots and just like
Yeah.
play through it. So it's like they didn't have a single player mode, but it's like the multiplayer was so good. Once you got like a good feel of the game, and I think what would happen is like I think it took a while for them to like get a good balance of like matching you up against people your rank,
There was
because
also a
it's
couple
like,
characters at launch that were
and at launch
absolutely
too, that's
annoying
another
to
thing
deal
too, is
with.
that yeah, that first like months people probably played and just got destroyed by
Bowser Jr.
all us crazy good people in the Discord that later on came together.
Yeah.
So it's like that first month was crazy because it's, yeah, like Bowser Jr. and Waluigi just like steamrolling everyone. My poor little Yoshi trying to get around.
Their reach for some reason is the entire court. Yeah, that
Mhm.
was painful.
But yeah,
Uh,
but yeah, just great times. Shout out that game.
yeah. It would have been nice if it was more of a complete package and could have like sold better and stuck around more. I don't know how much it sold, but I just feel like they probably I don't know. I don't know how they feel about the success of any of the Switch sports games, honestly. Like
Well, that's the thing
with
is like
golf and then strikers,
it's clearly the best one out of all of them that they
which is
released.
so
Like,
weird because I like as someone who like reviews games or whatever, or tries to look at them like objectively or whatever, or like Mario Tennis Aces doesn't really feel like it's that great of a game, but then once you really get into it and like if you really want to like playing Mario Tennis and like
mhm,
you play with the right people and you're playing online and you're playing it within that like 6 months period when it's just really active, then it's like, oh no, there was a lot that was actually pretty great here. And it was,
mhm,
especially with the simple mode, it was just so straightforward, but there was a lot of depth to it at the same time. um,
mhm.
Whereas like, yeah, I don't know, they've just had very weird output on the Switch with the sports games for various
Yeah,
reasons.
because tennis, you kind of mentioned, it's like it kind of had that first initial hurdle of like, okay, you gotta kind of get a feel of the controls and how it plays, and then once you do that, then you kind of like it kind of opens up the game and you can kind of start enjoying it more. You can get more into it. But like strikers and even more so like golf too for the Switch, like they kind of had that initial hurdle, but once you got to it, it almost just felt like, oh, you beat the game. Like there isn't
Yeah,
much more you can go.
yeah,
You kind of got to that end game of like the meta like really quickly. It's like, okay, this is how it's gonna play out.
yeah.
And then strikers, just yeah, strikers. I wanted to like it so
Me
badly.
too. There's so much to like visually, it was cool,
Mhm.
and I just love the other strikers games. I was like, there's no way this is gonna be a miss. And then every match just ended up being the same thing. It was so boring. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
was frustrating.
yeah, and tennis is like you kind of would feel like, okay, it's like you kind of feel like, okay, it's like Bowser Jr., Waluigi, those are only characters you can play. But then they actually had balance patches, which was
Yeah,
cool. So they changed that, and then it's like then you kind of go and be like, oh, okay, it looks like Peach is now the best character. But then like you could kind of like there'd be actually be counterplay you can discover to go around it. So
yeah,
there's always like a changing meta. It's like, okay, now like Spike's really good, or Koopa's super good,
yeah.
or
It was more
Bowser's
in
really
line with
good.
a fighting game, which it got compared to a
Yeah.
lot by the people that actually played it. It was more. It
Mhm.
had more in common with like Smash than it did with what you would
Yeah.
assume it would be like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I always compared it like standard mode almost felt like a traditional fighter, the way you have like meter and like there's a lot more just like back and forth neutral, because it's like a lot of the standard modes where it's you're kind of just trying to like chip away because it's so hard to just like score straight up
yeah,
because you have the meter and the safety net. But then we go into simple, that's where it gets more like Smash, where it's like, okay, you kind of just have like those quick hits, like those quick little rallies, unless you get certain characters or certain courts, then you get like the never-ending rallies on
hmm,
clay or whatever on the
yeah,
slower courts.
yeah,
But that's kind of how I felt. Like that's kind of how I played Mario Tennis. Is like I almost kind of like came up with like a play where I would like, okay, this serve I'm gonna go here and try and like end it in like 2 points. Like, oh, I'm gonna rush the net, or like, oh, I'm gonna like do a quick angle here, and I would kind of like just decide how I'm gonna play before each point, rather than kind of like go for those longer rallies. But it was kind of cool how everyone had their own play style.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of expression, player
Mhm.
expression. Um, Certain characters played certain ways, but then different people are gonna like they didn't have to play every character exactly the same way, basically. So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, it's always good in a multiplayer game when that's possible because that's what stops it from going down the route where everything is feels like it's always the same. You never know what to expect because you can kind of mix up the playstyle even within a character,
Mhm.
and it was good at
Yeah.
that. So
It kind of emulates a little bit of my number one,
oh
the greatest game of all time
oh yeah,
in any capacity. Just the best game all around.
mm-hmm. um,
What
Fortnite.
Yes, let me get my fork and my knife and show off my cool dances like my favorite streamer does.
Oh
I
no.
donate all my hard-earned money to his Patreon, and then he doesn't even answer my question.
Oh, I almost just got up and did it now, but I'm not gonna do it.
Just
Uh,
grabbed a fork and a knife.
no, like actually answered your question. Anyways, um, Super Smash Bros. Melee, I'm sure is your number one.
Yeah, it was, yeah, not even debate. It's just like, for me, it's like my favorite like casual game to play with friends. Just like play drunkenly with college buddies before going out with the items on and everything. And it's like the best like competitive game too. It's like watching and playing. Like it's the game I think I've watched this like watched more like melee tournaments than I have like any other like regular sport. Just because it's so much fun to watch the tournaments. And it's just like we'll be on all weekend, watch all the matches, follow all the players, see who's coming up, which characters are doing well this year. How's Mango doing? Is he going to keep being the GOAT? Yes, he is. Still going to be the best. He's killing it.
um,
Yeah.
you're still like actively watching it
Mm-hmm.
like this year, yeah.
Yeah, this year it's been a little slow, like not as many tournaments and like not as many of like the pro players traveling as much. So it's been a little bit of a down year, but I'll still tune in and like watching a lot of what a lot of them are doing now is like co-streaming. So it's like there's like some player won't go to the tournament, so they'll just like we'll stream the tournament instead and watch.
Yeah.
It's been really fun. Gone to a couple, but haven't gone. I went back in like 2019. Just kind of went because it was like I didn't get super into Melee until like because of Mario Tennis. That's how I became like got into like Mango's community, started talking to people
Okay.
in those discords, and then started playing a little bit more Melee. And they're like, "Oh, you should come out to like one of the big tournaments." So there's one in Wisconsin called Smash and Splash. So it's like the summer of 2019. I'd been in like Mango's Discord for like a year, so I was like, "Oh, I'll meet up with some buddies." So a couple of my old college friends, like we went. I met up with some people from Mango's Discord, got to meet Mango, and it's like everyone was really cool. It was a lot of fun playing and like watching the games in person. It felt like going to a regular sporting event. Everyone's cheering, going crazy. And then went to a tournament in Canada, pretty close to you. It was Mango's B-Day Bash, and that's where I actually like went purely with people from that I met from Mango's Discord because like I've been there for a year. I've talked with like these guys. I played games with them. I was like, okay, I think I'm feeling comfortable like going hanging out. We just like rent out an Airbnb. I think there was like 8 or 9 of us that are all hanging out.
He's not
And I was like,
Canadian.
no, the
Wait, but his
tournament was
birthday
like
bash was in Canada?
that was kind of a joke because it's like they kind of already had the tournament planned, and then
Okay.
they were trying to get I think they were just like trying to get Mango to go, and they're like, oh well, like it's around your birthday like weekend, so it's like, oh, we'll change the whole tournament theme to be like, oh, Mango's birthday, so it's like
There's what's the Canadian, there's a big tournament that's in Canada. Is that what it was part
Gommel.
of?
Gommel is the big
Oh,
one.
okay.
Get on my level, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the big like Toronto. I think it was in the same venue as that one.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of one of the new big ones that happens every year.
Yeah, Smash is pretty awesome.
It's so much
um
fun because I guess how I started is like the documentary that came out in like 2013. Because
right.
like when I first started playing Smash, I only really played the N64 one growing up, just like playing with my sisters and with friends growing up. And then in college, where I was like, I brought my N64 and I brought all my game systems, and my random roommate like also played Smash. So we played the N64 one all the time. That was a great like dorm room game. Like people walk by like, oh, you're playing Smash, because everyone like played Smash growing up.
Yeah.
So it's like a great way to meet people. Good drinking game. That and Mario Kart were always the go-tos. Um, and then once we found out about that documentary, watched it, and we're like, oh my god, Melee is actually crazy. So it's like because of the
Was
doc, we switched over, started playing Melee a bunch more, and that's when I like found out about the tournaments and found out about Twitch and started watching. And then
was that like was that the Five Gods? Is that what that was called? Yeah.
well, it was called the no, that's like the recent one.
Oh.
So it was called the Smash Brothers that came out in
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
2013. I think it came out after that Evo, and then the guy who made that like remade a like kind of made a sequel, basically a continuation, and that's kind of how we talked about the Five Gods, and
Right.
that came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was when I got that was the only point in time where I was like really watching competitive Smash, but Melee was like 2014-ish because that was when it got really big with like Evo and Apex and whatever, all that
Mhm.
stuff. And then all those, that's when like all of those guys were at their peak at the same time or whatever. It was definitely entertaining. I kind of got over it at some point watching, but
Mhm.
it like watching the summits and stuff, that was really fun too.
Yeah, those were always really fun. It sucks that Summit's not around anymore, but yeah, those were always the coolest tournaments because yeah, they invite all the top
Yeah.
players. They had like a whole super long weekend. They do other little events too, some fun stuff. They'd have those skits where they would have some really funny videos they would make with the players.
Yeah. I should try to I have I mean, I think I still have them somewhere, probably with all the strategy guides. I had made documents where I like recorded like the stats for characters, but and I would like go and post them on Smashboards after the
Oh,
fact.
right.
But
Dang.
but before that, I used to like I tried to making my own tier list and like measuring characters' power levels in Melee by like adding up the damage of all of their attacks percentage wise, being like, hey, that's their power, and then like taking a measuring tape and measuring how high they jumped
Oh my God,
and
that's
like
so funny.
writing all of that down. And then I came up with the fact that Roy was absolutely 100% the best character in the game, and then took that information to Smashboards, and everyone laughed at me, and I was like, I don't understand. I have data.
I have my own factual, unimpeachable data.
Yeah.
Very
And
scientific.
everyone was like, Marth is obviously better than Roy, and I was like, no, he's not.
That's
What are you talking about? That was like
very
2007. That was when I was the most active. It was leading into because I was super excited about Brawl coming out, and it was
funny.
like they did all that stuff with like the Smash Dojo, and Sakurai would post like little tidbits of information every day for like so long, and it was such a I don't know. That was
Oh,
a
that's
cool period in
cool.
time,
Yeah.
leading into Brawl's release. That was fun. Um, but yeah, Melee. It I've always said that it's is or was my favorite of them. But I also really like Ultimate now at the same
Yeah.
time.
I
Um,
think for you, it was kind of like the similar thing, like how I was saying, like comparing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to
yeah,
Double Dash. You kind of had that similar feeling, especially if,
yeah,
yeah, it's like, because even if you try to play online, like, you'll just play against like all the really good people on Slippy. So it's
yeah,
just like tough to find people to play with. I actually played, like, when I was visiting my friend, like, we played a bunch of old, like, GameCube games. So it's like we went back and we're playing Melee, playing Double Dash, and like, Melee just it still feels really good. Like once you start like at first the movement feels weird and then you start getting used to your old habits and then you start moving around again. It's like okay.
yeah,
Just like feels so good. To it's yeah, it's just like at all levels, like it feels it's fun at the start where you're just messing around, doing all the basic stuff, and then it's like once I started learning about like the other stuff, it's kind of funny because it's like we were still kind of playing like when I was playing in college like, oh, we do a lot of just like, oh, we'd have 3 or 4 people, so it's like we wouldn't try to do 1v1s. We just still play free for all and keep going. So it's like once I found out about like all the advanced stuff, it's like I'll try to like practice that like in the game. So it's like we're doing like a 4 player free for all. You got like 3 people going like crazy, and then like sometimes I'd like take a second to just try to like practice wave dashing in the middle of the game. And then it's like the classic of like, oh, they think you're just like camping, trying to howl at your stocks, and they all come after you. Like,
Hmm.
no, I just want to figure out how to wave dash. It's really funny.
uh,
And it's like one of those things where it's like you play a bunch, and it's like I was like the class of like, oh, like you're the best one in your friend group, and then it's like you go, and then I finally like found out like my college has like Smash Fest for like the Smash Club or whatever,
hmm.
and it's like you go and they can actually like try and play against like all the people that play, and then you run into the people who are actually really good. It's just like, oh, like I'm getting beat by this person's 10th best character by like 3 stocks every time with my
Yeah.
best character. So it's like
Yeah.
it's a crazy thing. It's like really demoralizing at first when you start to realize like how many hours you need to put in to try and like get to this person's level and how hard the game actually is. But it's like
Yep.
it's intimidating, but it's also just like crazy how like good the game is and how high the skill ceiling is. It's like basically infinite because it's like no one can really reach those task levels of how you play.
Yeah, that's always a humbling experience, I guess.
Yeah, like after that first time, I don't think I was just like I don't think I played for like a couple weeks after. I was just like so just like holy shit, this game's so hard. I'm useless. I'm terrible. Never gonna
Yeah.
play again. So it's like
Yeah.
that was the first time like one of my college buddies like asked to play, and I was like, no, I don't really feel like it. And he was like, what? Like you don't want to play? Like you've never said no to playing before? And it's like you're always the one asking us. I was just like, yeah, I just need a break to
Uh,
like collect myself after realizing how like crazy good some people are and like how bad you actually are compared to it. But it's like super fun. So now it's almost melee to me is like almost how I view like basketball. It's like I don't really play basketball anymore, but I'll still watch the NBA a lot, and I'll still like occasionally I'll shoot around. And it's like the same with melee. Like occasionally I'll play with a buddy if like we're hanging out. But I'm still always gonna be watching the big terms that are coming up. I don't think I'll ever like fully stop watching. I might like skip a few, but then I could see it come back on. I'll be like, oh, okay, I can have this on in the background while I do something else on a weekend.
yeah. Yeah, that's another game. It has it's like the fact that that came out in like 2001 and it's still relevant is
And
insane.
it's still like getting better and better. You got more and more like good people. You got crazy like okay, all of a sudden this character is really good. Like for some reason, we got Donkey Kong having a resurgence this
Yeah.
year. It's the craziest thing. But then you still got like people going back, like okay, like back when H box was really good. Like oh, Puff's clearly the best character, and then it's like people start getting better with like the foxes start getting better. He starts to being like okay, he's back to being on top, and it's like oh, Zane comes around. It's like oh wait, no, Mart's the best. So it's like it's cool seeing all the different characters kind of have their moment, and then it's like the different like not just like the characters themselves, but like the players kind of each have their own like different character rise up. So it's like
Yeah.
oh, you see like this person's fox versus this person's fox is like totally different, but they're both really good. And it's like oh, this person's Marth compared to this person's Marth. It's like being able to have like so much character like through the like each player really shows it's not just like oh this person's just playing fox. It's like they all have their different styles. You kind of mentioned that in tennis too.
Yeah.
It's like you don't just have like your default like Boo or Yoshi. You're actually able to have your personality shine through. Is actually like what makes it so interesting to watch as a spectator. But
Yeah. And then like you kind of pick up on certain styles and then you're like if you're also somebody that's playing the game, then you're like okay, that's interesting, and then sometimes you can learn something about a character that makes you interested in them that if you weren't otherwise before that, but then you see somebody play them a certain way and you're like, oh, I didn't didn't realize that you could be like so aggressive with that character. Now I want to try to use them or something like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's always cool. I'm a big fan of Falcon, so
Mm-hmm.
the
I feel
Falcon
like
players were always cool to watch.
I feel like Falcon right now is kind of on a down slope. The
Mm.
Falcon players aren't doing all that great in the tourneys, but you never know. There's always stuff that'll start coming back.
Yeah. Oh man, now I want to go play Melee. I tried playing it a couple years ago, but like you said, I only played it for a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, what? This is
Mm-hmm.
weird."
Mm-hmm.
I would have to stick with it a little bit longer to kind of get back into it. But it definitely felt old. But yeah, it's just like muscle memory and stuff for sure. Once you really get into the flow of it, then I'm sure it
Yeah, it's like the
feels
movement's
better.
like a lot more like precise. Like when you
It's
like
stiff.
if your inputs are off, you definitely feel yourself getting like you feel like you're getting stuck all the time because you're it's like moving too fast for like how precise it should be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's a solid number one choice for sure.
we should just instead of doing top 10 games, we should just go through like top 10 melee characters. Just go through. I could spend like an entire day just talking about
Well, I already told you
favorite
number one.
characters.
Who number one is?
Characters like favorite characters to play, favorite characters to watch, favorite people who play that character,
I
favorite
mean,
tournaments where that character went on a big run. It's like just to talk about melee for so long, so much fun. That's why this episode's way longer than Kinos, I bet.
it is. It's long. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
why I was like, the guessing part of this is like I felt like so much easier because there's way more overlap with us. That's
Yeah.
just like
There's only a
spend more
couple of things
time.
here after I figured out what they were. There's only a couple of things here I wasn't that were a little surprising, like FIFA and maybe Gears of War.
Yeah, because those are games back in high school. And it's like we never really talked about before because those are games like if you never bring them up on stream, I'll never bring them up and like
Yeah, and
really
I've
talk
never
about
played
it
them,
that
so
much.
that would be
Mhm.
that would be it. All right. Well, considering how long this is, I think
Yeah, and I think I went through most of my honorable mentions. So it's like I had like strikers, baseball, the GameCube sports games. Baseball is really fun and like different from Mario Tennis. Like it actually had a really good single player
yeah.
mode, the GameCube one. Spent a lot of time like that on those.
Mhm. Yeah.
XD, Coliseum, Pokemon games amazing. Mass Effect was one I had like potentially, but then when I replayed it, I was like, oh, this doesn't really hold up all that well.
The first one or the other
I
ones?
played the first one and the second one. I played the
Okay.
first two, and I
Huh.
was like, it's not as fun as I remember. Kind of got kind of boring.
Well,
Like the combat
interesting.
felt samey.
I could
And
say. I mean,
then
I believe that. Um, I liked Mass Effect 2 quite a bit, but I'm sure now it's like not quite as special.
and then like Dragon Quest 11 as like an RPG. I haven't. I was trying to think of like traditional RPGs that I played. I actually haven't like played all that many
Hmm.
because I wasn't much of a single player person growing up. Pretty much always
I
played
guess
multiplayer.
so. I was just gonna say, are, is everything on your list multiplayer except for Pokemon and Slay the Spire?
And Hades.
Oh right, Hades, yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's like besides Pokemon, I never played single player games growing up. And then it's like now that like post college when I started getting more into single player games.
Hmm.
So you got like yeah, Slade Spire, Hades, all those like played like other RPGs like Dragon Quest and Persona 5 were like the first like main like big popular like turn-based RPGs I started playing. I really like those. Those are both my honorable mention lists. And then I had one another purely like a Twitch watching streaming game. It's like one of the funnest games to watch. You've played it before. It has a great clip that gets played a lot
Toki Doki
from when
Literature
you're
Club.
playing it. Yes, Doki Doki. such a crazy game. I've watched so many people play that on Twitch because it's just like such a funny experience. It's just like crazy to see them like go through the game. And like I played it once through with some friends and it was really funny showing them. And watching like we're watching you play it and voice all the characters is so funny.
I Yeah, it's one of the like at this point it's hard to recommend it to people because like you don't want to say anything, but also by saying that you're not saying anything, that is saying something because then they're like, why aren't you telling me what it is? So like
Yeah.
you can't like it doesn't work. Like I knew that something insane was going to happen just and I had no idea what it was. I was just making assumptions, but I knew because I've heard so many people talk about it even though they were all very secretive. I'm like, you're all being secretive. So obviously something insane happens.
Yeah.
So I was just waiting and then as it goes on, it's like, okay, I can see how this like seemingly peaceful and pleasant thing, how would that what could possibly happen? It's like, well, and then it kind of goes that way. But yeah, it's a unique experience for sure.
Very much so.
Yeah,
If you're watching this and have never heard of it or have seen it, just go into it blind and just start playing.
yeah.
Don't think about it. Just play
Don't think about it.
it. Don't question anything. Be like, why am I playing this?
Yeah,
Just keep going.
yeah. All right. On that note, do you have anything else?
No, that was it. Thank you for. I kind of just took over your whole game guessing thing and just used it as an excuse to just talk about my 10 favorite games
Well,
for
I
like
mean,
2 hours. And it's been a lot of fun.
well, yeah, it has. That is the main purpose. I just kind of
Yeah.
tried to. I wanted to spin it to make like add a different layer to it for other people. But yeah, I just wanted to. It's fun to
Yeah.
talk to
I'm
people and
excited.
find out what about their like top 10 games and
I'm excited to see what other people say. Like this was I really like watching the Kinoff episode, even though I didn't know any of the games he was talking about. I was like, this is fun to listen to.
all right, awesome,
Um, so yeah.
cool. Well, I'll keep doing some. I think Hookie's messaging me about doing it, so
Yes.
I'm gonna do it with him.
I'm so curious what Hookie seems like the kind of person who likes like Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing type stuff. I feel like he's a big farming guy, just chilling, farming, hanging out.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Um,
oh wait, no, I do remember. I think he streamed like his Danganronpa runs.
yeah.
I remember he had good voice acting for those characters. He had a good what's the evil bears guy's name?
Um, Monokuma.
Yes, he had a good Monokuma.
Yeah.
Make sure he goes
Busts
give
it
that
out.
he no make sure he gives his impression
Oh, yeah.
if he
Okay.
includes it on there, which I think he might.
No, I'm gonna be like, right when we start, I'm gonna be like, okay, so you have to this entire episode speak in a Monokuma voice, just for Max. That'll do it.
Also, I'm curious. Okay, I feel like he's got to have Mario Tennis on there because because I think my total hours was like I think I had like 500 or 600. I think he has like 5,000 maybe.
Oh man.
Like he's played that
Yeah,
so much.
he was streaming it the other day. He's still playing it once in a while.
Mhm.
We'll see. I don't think it's gonna be number two
Number one.
or number one. I don't think so, but I guess we'll find out.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna tune in.
Well, thanks for joining me. This was
Mhm.
fun. When am I going to post it? I mean, you'll know if you're watching this, but to you, I don't know. Hopefully within a week or so. That's the plan at least. And yeah, great list. A little bit of everything. Lots of multiplayer. I recommend playing Transistor, or at least just look at it. Maybe you'll
Okay.
look at it and be like, but I doubt
All
it.
right. I'll check it out.
Um, and I guess that's it.
Mhm.
So, see you, everybody. Goodbye to
Yep.
you. Have a great night. And I'll
Like and
see
subscribe.
you. Sure. Yep.
Tune in.
Hmm.
Sign up for the Patreon. Follow his backlogged. backlogged. I feel like I should make one. It seemed pretty cool.
It is. It's great. I love it. It's like my favorite website. Sweet. Now I don't got to go and do the voiceover. I'll just make random pointing directions. All right. See ya. Feel free to follow me over on Twitch at dguns, or head over to Backlogged if you want to see any of my reviews. I write up reviews for every game that I play. Also, check out my Patreon. For the most part, what I'm using it for is creation of YouTube shorts. And basically what it is that you ask me a question that is gaming related, and I answer it by making a YouTube short. At the $5 tier, I'll do one a month, and then it increases from there. You can check it out over at patreon.com/doubleguns. Thank you to those that are supporting me on Patreon. We have TheMexFactor, Kinoth, Scion, Hookie, BioBadger, and Icy Bardock.